All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Hump Day Hangouts. This is Bradley Benner with Semantic Mastery wearing my turkey hat for at least temporarily for the beginning of this. I thought everybody would get a laugh out of this. It's November 22nd, 2017. This is Hump Day Hangouts episode 159. So welcome, everybody. We've got everybody on with us today except for Adam. I think he's traveling. So I'm going to go right on down the line and introduce everybody as I see them. Chris, how are you?
Doing good. Glad to be here. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
All right. Hernan, how are you?
Hey guys, hey everyone. It's really good to be here. I see a lot of people chilling already for Thanksgiving, so yeah, that's good. That's good to see.
I'm looking for the Hangout app that like affects app so that I could add turkeys to all of your heads as well.
I don't know.
I think they took that away, man.
I think they did too. I didn't see it anyways. So, and last but not least, Marco, how are you?
I'm good, man.
Good.
I'm good.
You want to show everybody why you're so good?
Sure. Here you go. Can you see it?
Scotch, right?
No, it's rum.
Oh, it's rum. Okay.
It's 18-year-old rum.
Right. So this is a party.
And so
this is going to be a party.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Right.
YOLO.
All right. So Hernan, what kind of announcements do we have?
Good question, Bradley. Glad you asked. Well, we have a bunch of stuff going on for Black Friday. We're not allowed, as per Adam's instructions, we're not allowed to share the links with you guys just yet. You just need to be, aware that we're gonna be sending some emails with good stuff tomorrow and Friday. So the point here is that you can get a lot of stuff from Semantic Mastery and SerpSpace and Mastery PR for a big discount. And what you need to ask yourself is if with that money you're going to purchase a new TV or you're actually going to invest in your business, right? So that's going to put you more money back in your pocket. One thing is going to take money out of your pocket. The other thing is going to put more money in your pocket. So I would suggest doing the latter, but that's up to you. And yeah, stay tuned because it's gonna be really good. We have some really good stuff coming for the Semantic Mastery Mastermind, NPR, and SerpSpace too. So.
Yep. Very cool. And so yeah, guys, I would recommend just waiting until Friday or tomorrow when we send out the emails, and you can check it out then. I did want to briefly talk about, and then I'll pull this hat off and we'll get down to serious business. I did want to talk about briefly the and I'll grab the screen in a minute and we'll talk about the image that I've added there. But I'm having some really amazing success right now with the prospecting funnel that I've been working on for a while. And I've kind of worked on it for the last couple days or several days, excuse me, and really refined it. And it's working like crazy right now. So that's something we're going to be revealing. We've actually revealed it to the mastermind members already. Specifically how it's set up, and I'm going to be continuing to share that as I continue developing that out. The prospecting side is working great. Now I've got to refine the sales process and the onboarding and the client fulfillment, and so that's what I'm working on now. But I'm an open book when it comes to this stuff inside the mastermind, guys. We've already had a lot of people interested in the Facebook post where I posted this image, and I mean, it really is. It's us bribing you to come join the mastermind. You want to learn how to set up a funnel like this for yourself and automate your prospecting? That's fine. We'll teach you. But you got to come to the mastermind to do it. So just wanted to share that with you guys. And I guess we don't have any other announcements, Hernan. I'm going to go ahead and get right into questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, no, hang on. I have to make an announcement because Rob has some personal issues that he needs to attend to. We have the holidays and he has some issues. I have my back issues that I have to attend to. And so there will be no reloaded webinar this Monday. We're going to push it to the following Monday or the Monday after that. If we skip, we'll make it up to everyone. We usually come up with something really nasty to share so that they can go abuse the rankings. And so I just wanted to let everyone know I'll be posting in the Facebook group that there will be no webinar on Monday. So.
Okay. Very good. All right. Anything else, guys?
Good to go.
No, that's it.
All right, cool. So yeah, so again, guys, this is what I was talking about, this particular image here. This was just taken as a screenshot this morning from Pipedrive. After having this on hold for about 4 or 5 weeks, I turned this back on last Tuesday. So this was this morning before businesses were opened, essentially before any emails went out today. And I've been sending out only on weekdays, Monday through Friday emails. So we had Tuesday through Friday last week, and then Monday of this week, Tuesday as well. So it was, a total of 5 business days, 25 emails per day, total emails sent 125. We actually had 13 inbound leads, but one of them I deleted out because we actually called the guy and he was a real jerk. So we actually really had 13%, 13 out of 125 emails, 13 inbound leads out of it, which is freaking crazy. So it's just working really, really well. And that's what I wanted to point out. It's really cool setting up I've been working on it for weeks, but it works very, very well. And there was some bugs in it that I covered in last mastermind webinar last week that I have resolved those issues, and it's just working beautifully now. So I'm really excited about it. I'm going to continue sharing that as I further develop the fulfillment and onboarding and fulfillment funnel as well. Okay. So Andy tees up first. He says, "Hi team. I wanted to ask why sometimes the IFTTT failed to syndicate my blog post to all my Web 2 properties, and after a few days or sometimes weeks later, everything back to normal. Why is this happening from time to time? Do you guys face the same issue? Thanks." Not really. I mean, yeah, of course it happens sometimes, Andy. What I would recommend is that you are, if you're not doing this already, is go purchase network monitoring from SerpSpace. Plug all your networks into there, because you'll get notifications when something is not posting properly, and it's very inexpensive. And so you can jump in there very quickly and figure out what's going on. A lot of the times, if it's a specific Web 2 that it didn't post to, then most of the time it's just you have to reconnect that service or that channel. So that Web 2 property, you just got to go into IFTTT, go to services, go select that property, and then hit reconnect, and that'll fix it. If it's just like one, for example, if you got 10 properties in your network and it syndicates to 9 of them, and it's just this one that's like intermittent or hit or miss, that kind of stuff, just reconnect the channel or the service, and that should fix it. But if it's all of them, then it's likely a trigger issue on the RSS feed side of things, which would lead me to believe sometimes there can be problems with your RSS feed from your WordPress blog. I'm assuming you're using WordPress, but or any site for that matter that has an RSS feed. Sometimes there's problems specifically with WordPress. You can sometimes have theme or other plugin compatibility issues that will actually affect the RSS feed. And that's a pain in the ass. You've got to isolate that through process of elimination. Or another quick fix, sometimes when there's and I've run into this before where I've had issues with RSS feed not being picked up by IFTTT, and the only way to fix it, I was never able. In some cases, I've not been able to isolate the reason why, and I've had to develop or find a workaround. And the workaround typically is to go burn a feed burner feed from the WordPress feed, and then use the feed burner feed URL as your RSS URL for the trigger of the applets. And that oftentimes will fix it. The only problem with that is some of the properties that we syndicate to, when using the feed burner feed, it doesn't pull in the feed, the correct feed title. So it'll kind of like be like a blank title or a generic title, or it'll say feed burner or something like that. But in my opinion, it's not that big of a deal. I use the feed burner trick as kind of like a last resort if I can't isolate the original problem. You guys have any comments on that?
Yeah, use a feed validation service. So you, for example, have like validata.w3.org. I can post a link.
Okay.
Backup ladder one as well, which I highly recommend. And use that as like very first indicator to see if the feed is valid and if there are any errors on there.
Okay. Thank you.
He also says that everything goes back to normal. So to me, that's not really a problem. To me, that would just be focused more on are you getting results? If he checks and after a few weeks everything is normal, everything is the way it should be, what are the results of what he's doing? Because maybe he's just focusing on something that's not really an issue.
Yeah.
So that would be my only advice is that. So what are the results? Are you getting more traffic? Are you getting more leads, sales? Whatever it is that your end result or your goal should be or is, what is it that you're getting there? Because the only way that this is a problem is if you're not getting the end result. That's when you start working your way back and seeing what it is that you need to fix. Right now, I really don't see that he needs to fix anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and Andy, I recommend throughout the training as well, and as often as I can, really, don't focus, like kind of what Marco said, is focus on the bigger picture stuff. If it's flat out just not syndicating any of the properties, then yeah, go troubleshoot, go investigate. But if it's just intermittent or it's hit or miss with some of the properties, I recommend just avoid, skipping it, because focus on bigger stuff instead of sweating the small stuff. I know, because in my when I first started using, or actually for quite some time after I started building and using syndication networks, I would spend sometimes hours trying to troubleshoot every single little issue, to where I wanted every post to get syndicated to every property in the network 100% of the time. And I would burn up an enormous amount of time going through and troubleshooting stuff that I couldn't repair anyways. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't anything that I could have done to fix it. It was an issue with one of the Web 2 platforms, or it was an issue with IFTTT or something, and you end up spending hours of time working on something that you're unable to repair anyways, and it's frustrating as hell. And it's just wasted time. It's, trying to be a perfectionist. And Andy, I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm just saying, is for the benefit of everybody, don't sweat the small stuff. As long as a lot of the times, if you just leave it alone, like what you mentioned in your comment, and then come back to it, it will have repaired itself. So the couple of tips that I just gave you are some quick fixes that you can go in and test very quickly. Reconnect the channel. It's always the first thing that I recommend. And then if you're still continuing to get repeated errors or non-syndicated posts from your RSS feed, then go burn a burner feed and replace the feed URL as the trigger in the applets. Okay. And that's your quickest fixes. James is up. He says, how do you use local events and news to establish local relevancy with Google? Is it as simple as curating local events and news, or do we need to also use a link strategy with curated content? James, yeah, actually, we just did another mastermind newsletter. We had to turn in the copy for it, the content for the mastermind newsletter for December, and we just turned that in yesterday, really. And I actually am covering part of that in that mastermind newsletter. But yes, you can embed like local calendar events. You can also use plugins and things like that you can add feeds to, which are great to go find local blogs or local newspapers, any kind of local publications that have feeds, and import feeds directly, so that you can basically post, even if not posts or snippets of posts, you can still get like headlines and embed like a widget onto a page or a post on your site, or even multiple pages or posts. It doesn't matter. The point is that you can use these plugins and in embedded calendar events and news sites and things like that to just inject. You can use Twitter too, by the way. You can use Twitter too to inject local relevancy into pages or posts. And it's not really a backlinking strategy. There are some things that you can do with that. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But it's really about the on page. It's about adding local geographic relevant information to your site. And so Google starts to associate that your keywords and your site, your brand, with that local event. Okay, so you gotta try to be a little bit targeted with that. And sometimes if you're in a big metropolitan area, like the events are just flat out overwhelming. So you've got to try to put a filter on it, throttle it down a bit, or you can use very specific keywords sometimes, or hashtags if you're using Twitter and things like that, to kind of narrow it down to where it's not overwhelming, the number of events that get posted. But it's really more about an on-page thing in that respect. However, I have tested and played with this a little bit, and I'm doing a little bit of testing with it right now. I've got limited time for it, but creating mini sites that are local, like event type sites, specifically to use as like a PBN, but you don't have to even create any content. It's auto-generated content from other local events and news-related sites, and you're just using it to basically create a curated site that just reposts events and things, and it's just strictly for creating local relevancy, and then you can use that to link over to your money pages. And that's that. So as far as like the linking strategy, that's how I'm doing it. There might be some other ways that some of my some others here can comment on, but that's typically I just use it for on-page relevancy. However, I have been testing recently with creating some mini sites that are hyper local focused, and using that as just curated news and events calendar basically. And you can use Facebook, by the way, guys, Facebook events. You can do searches for Facebook and use those to add content, and then actually linking from those like mini sites over to the money site. Okay, you guys got comments on that? Or any other strategies?
No, I think you nailed it, because I pretty much am doing the same that you said, Bradley. So
okay,
yeah.
All right, cool. Sam's up. Says, what's up, Sam? Sam was in Portland with us. He says, I'm having problems getting Tumblr to send me an email verification for one of my syndication networks. Assuming I can't get that straightened out, how much power would my network lose if I don't include Tumblr account? Would it be better to set up a Tumblr account for this network using a different email address? Yes, Sam. You know, it's not the end of the world if you can't get a Tumblr account, but you should be able to get a Tumblr account. Just use a different email. We've had that happen in the past for whatever reason. As a matter of fact, I think in the training even, it's been a while since I've built a network myself, but I remember specifically that we used to use the Outlook email a lot for, like, we would set up, the Gmail is the main profile, right? But then we would always create a recovery email, which would either be Yahoo or Outlook. We typically would use Outlook or, you know, Hotmail or some Microsoft email, because it was less of a pain in the ass to create an account than Yahoo. And a lot of the times we would end up, the Tumblr account would end up getting suspended immediately. Like there was a time, and it's not so much anymore, but there was a time where Tumblr used to suspend accounts like at the drop of a hat. They may still do it. I'm not building them all the time anymore, so I don't know. But and then we would submit and I know this is in the training, we would just submit an email to support and say, why was my account suspended? There's not even been any content posted or anything like that. A lot of times they would reissue or reinstate the site, reactivate the site. But if they didn't, and sometimes we'd get denied, we'd end up using just like the Outlook email. Or another thing you can do, Sam, is use a webmail account if it's connected to a brand domain, right? Like a branded, if it's a branded network, then you can just create a webmail account and use that. So again, it's not the end of the world if you can't use Tumblr, or if you can't get a Tumblr account set up, but chances are just try another email and you'll probably get it. Okay. Raphael's up. Hi, how many rings is it safe to use in an IFTTT network for money site? Well, Raphael, it can be safe to use as many networks as you want, as long as you are setting them up the way that we recommend. If you're going to use two-tiered or multi-tiered structures for money sites, for blog syndication, I don't recommend it. I recommend that unless you're only managing like one site, and then in that case, it's, you know, you'll have the bandwidth to be able to manage multiple layers or tiers of networks. But it's really super important that you are injecting additional relevant content into the persona-based networks. You only want one branded network per money site, period. That's it, right? Unless, of course, and that would be a network that is branded and themed for the brand. So it's going to be consistent all the way across. And you only want one per money site. And that's why I usually recommend to just stick with a branded tier 1 ring for blog syndication, and that's it. Multiple networks is doable. It can be safe. By the way, you can never eliminate your footprint, but you can minimize it by using the who keeps pinging me? Somebody keeps pinging me. Anyways, you can minimize it by injecting related content feeds into the additional networks, the supporting networks. And we cover all that stuff in the training. Any comments on that, guys, before I move on?
Yeah, I mean, we have always said the same, right? If you're doing YouTube or if you're doing parasites, you can do multiple ranks. But for money blocks, usually you don't need that many. I mean, right. if you're setting your on-site SEO in the way that we explained, for example, on the battle plan, et cetera, you don't need a multiple tier network for a blog. So
okay. And just so you guys know, with YouTube networks, you can stack as many networks as you want. There's no footprint issues as long as you're using the applets the way that we've shared. Then there's no problem with it. At least not yet. There hasn't been for years. I've been using this method since 2012, and I've never had any issues with YouTube with as many networks as you want, and it's never been a problem. I have had it cause problems with websites if I haven't minimized my footprint or covered my tracks properly. Okay. And that's what the beautiful thing is about the branded networks, guys. You're not covering your tracks. You're literally staking your claim. You're throwing a flag up in the air and saying, "Hey, this is us. This is my brand. This is us on all these other properties." And that's why we interlink them and all that other stuff, because we are literally saying, "This is us. Come look at our footprint." Right? That's what we're doing. But for all the other persona-based networks, you don't want to do that. All right, Mohammed's up. What's up, Mohammed? He says, hey, guys, can review schema be overused? Yes, Mohammed. You can get a manual penalty in Search Console from Google for schema spam, structured data spam. You absolutely can. I've gotten it, so I know. All right. I have it in all my posts, and the reviews are real, but I read there's such a thing as schema abuse. Yes, there is. If you have them in all your posts and they're real, okay, the terms of service state that if an individual page, like a service page or a product page, has reviews for that product or service that's highlighted on that page, then the review schema should be marked up for those reviews specific to that product. Where it can cause problems is if you have like an aggregate review rating that you basically append or add to every page and or post on the site, to where it's a site-wide aggregate review rating for every page on the site, every page and or post on the site. That can get you into trouble. That's against terms of service. But if you have, you know, say 6 reviews for a service page and the reviews are specific about that service, then you can mark that page up for those 6 reviews. And the home page of the website can have an aggregate rating, but it shouldn't be site-wide, if that makes sense. Any comments on that, guys, before I move on to the next part of it?
Yeah, it's just be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, some people will go ahead and, for example, do schema and JSON-LD, you know, with and that's a duplicate. Like that's actually overusing like rich snippets, you know, or structured data. So you either do one or the other. So.
Right. Okay. Number 2 is how harmful are multiple H1 tags on a page? It depends on the page. Like a blog index page is going to typically have multiple H1 tags because the title of each post is usually, it's going to be theme specific, but it's pretty much industry standard that index pages, whether they're category index pages, blog index pages, tag index pages, any one of those are going to have multiple H1 tags because every single post in that category or the blog page or the tag index or whatever are going to have, each one of the blog titles or post titles are actually H1s. And so you'll have multiple H1s in that case, and that's normal, right? But for typical pages or posts, not index pages, then no, it's not good. You should only have one H1 tag. Okay? So I would just, Mohammed, confirm, if it's an index page, don't worry about it. It's not an issue because that's normal. But if it's a like a standalone page or post, then yes, you only want one H1 tag. And I would, you know, unless the heading, like if you've got a long post, you know, authority content post, 2,000 plus words, that type of stuff, and you've got like multiple themes or concepts within that one article, then, you know, it makes sense sometimes to have more than one H2 because maybe the concepts within the article are unique enough or different enough that it would that like having another H2 would make sense as a way to like break it up, to break up the concepts or ideas within that same article. But that's rare that an article is that long that it would have such 2 broad concepts on it. So I recommend typically only having one H2 unless it falls into that criteria that I just mentioned. But you could have multiple H3s, multiple H4s, that kind of stuff. I would recommend only one H1, and H2 use it only once on an article if it's about a single topic. But if it's about multiple topics like long form authority content, then sometimes it makes sense to have multiple H2s. Any feedback on that, guys?
Yeah, I would do the same. Like if that's why you're using H1, H2s, H3s. I think that there are also like best practices. I don't have enough data to confirm this, but the best practice is say that high on the page that needs to be like, you need to follow a hierarchy of title tags, right? So if you have an H1, you only have one, but then you have an H2 and then an H3 and then maybe another H2, etc., right? So you need to follow this order. So, but internally you can have as many as you want.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Number 3 is, what do you do when you have blogs at the bottom of page 1 and you want them higher? I have a blog for an affiliate site that ranks 7 to 8 for a big keyword. Is there anything I can do besides waiting? Yeah, there's a lot you can do, Mohammed. I'll give you a couple quick fixes right now. But there's so many things that you could do for that. One is send traffic to it. I'm not even going to recommend any of the spam traffic bots out there because they're just not working well at the moment. But you could do stuff like send traffic from social media if you know how to do that, or you could hire microtask workers, like go to microtaskworkers.com or microworkers.com, I think it is, or just search microtask workers in Google and go select one of them. Mechanical Turk's another one, something like that. You can actually hire people to go search in Google and click on your link. And then that's a real traffic signal. That absolutely will help. Obviously, you could do a drive stack, an RYS drive stack. You could build more links to it. One of the other things, press releases are working really, really well right now. So if you could figure out an angle to create a press release about your site, that particular link, that page or post on your site, then that would also work. Something else you can do is add additional on-page content. In other words, you can update that specific page with more content. Add an update, like an updated paragraph or something else onto the page to just kind of add additional relevancy to the page. And something else that you can do on site, on the website itself, is do additional, like create that as a category. If it's not already its own category, make that a category so that you can actually put like child posts underneath of it as supporting articles, so that you essentially make that one post part of like the top of a silo, or at least part of a silo that then you add additional supporting articles to that all interlink up to that one post, right? Especially if you're syndicating with a network, right? A syndication network, because each additional post that you publish to your blog that's going to be interlinked up to that post that you're trying to push will end up going out across your network. So you get a bunch of internal links plus the external links from the branded network that are going to be pushing back to that one post. Okay. Those are just a couple big quick fixes. Any of you guys, I know you guys have some other suggestions.
Yeah. Well, at some point, Mohammed, you do need to wait because here's the thing. Yeah, because you do all of these little tweaks, right? And sometimes what we do is we do a little tweak and then we have the exact opposite results that we would want, right? So it plummets, the position goes down. And that's Google actually dangling the carrot saying, hey, are you doing this to manipulate, whatever? And we usually rush to, turn it back and whatever. So I would do everything that Bradley suggested, one thing at a time, to see what has the most impact on your, on your rankings, and then wait for a little bit and then implement the next thing and whatnot. SEO is a long-term game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you change like a million different things and then you go back and change another, you don't really know what's going on. Sorry, you don't really know what created the good effect, so that you can do more of that. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on. Next up, it says, is it a good idea to create a local lead generation system with a G site along with 7 city-specific pages with a blogger blog being the trigger for syndication network, or is it better to have a WordPress.org site? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which blog you use as a trigger. Honestly, it really doesn't. I've tested with all of them. I've ranked Tumblr sites. I've ranked Blogger sites. I've ranked WordPress.com sites. It doesn't really matter. If any of you guys have any, a different opinion on that, I know it. What I would recommend doing is go look. Sometimes you just have to test, to be honest, and I don't know why this is. It's, I guess, the random ranking factor of Google. But sometimes WordPress sites will rank for certain keywords way better than Blogger sites, and sometimes Tumblrs will rank better than the other two. Like it really, sometimes you just have to test. And that's what I love about the syndication networks, because if you syndicate a post from your money site to a network that's going to have Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress, and you go like boost those 3 posts on the web 2s, right? So you can go build links to those posts. One of them, you'll see where they start to rise in the search results, and one of them will start to surface or bubble up to the top, rank higher than the others. And then that's the one that is the stronger site for that particular search query or keyword theme, which is interesting. Again, it varies. I don't know why that is, but it just is. And so that's why, I would just say do a little bit of testing to determine what's the best route or what's the best property. And if you don't know, then just select one and run with it. But if you have the ability to do some testing, test and figure it out, see which ones perform the best, and then use that as your trigger if you want, as a web 2 trigger instead of a money site trigger. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why we do syndication networks in the first place, right? Because you don't know what's going to rank right off the bat. So with that, you know, under that logic, you could have like, it's always better to have like, I don't know, 5, 7, or 10, or 15 properties syndicating under your content. Some of them will not even rank ever. Some of them will actually pop on page 1 when people are searching for your stuff, right? For your brand or a long tail article that you have written, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to, what I'm trying to say is that you want to have as many opportunities to rank as possible, right? That's why we're doing syndication networks. And that's why I would say if you have the chance to test with many properties, you know, using some sort of syndication, that will be even better, because that will multiply the your chances of actually ranking, because as Bradley suggests, there's this random ranking factor that on some cases, some websites will do better than others, but you don't need to choose. That's a good news, you know?
Yeah. All right. The second part of his question was, should we use RVR Pro? That's Rocket Video Ranker, one of Bill Cousins' products. Should we use RVR Pro on Money Site YouTube channel, or set up a separate YouTube channel? Separate. And I'll tell you why. Guys, it's a good product. There's no doubt. I've used it quite a bit, and it works really, really well. For those of you that aren't aware of it, I don't know, Hernan, if you want to try to grab the link, it should be in the spreadsheet. But RVR Pro,
Yep.
I've played with it quite a bit and been really successful with lead gen campaigns, as well as wowing potential clients, prospects with it. But what I found, and I'm not talking about the software, I want everybody to understand, I want to be completely transparent about what I have found with this method. And I've got several channels out there that have been affected by this, but as long as you understand it, it's fine. So it's a churn and burn strategy, period. Okay, just keep that in mind. It's a churn and burn strategy. So don't use your money site. And I'll tell you why, because I've got several channels that I had set up, phone verified channels that I used specifically for RVR Pro. And I would go out and create 30 videos at a time. Right. And it's all handled by the software, guys. It makes it super simple to do. It's a rather quick process. But I would go target, and it basically uploads all the videos as private or unlisted. And then once they're all uploaded, it turns them all to public at the same time. And for some reason or another, and I don't know why, and I've said this through the webinars that we did with Bill and everything, I don't know why it works, but it works. And as long as it works, I'll exploit it. I'll take advantage of it. But what I have found is that within a few weeks, sometimes it's a little bit longer, it's a couple months. I don't know when exactly it's happened, but I've had it happen to multiple channels that I've used this method. All of a sudden, all the videos will basically fall out of the index, basically become de-indexed, and the channel's still there. The channel doesn't get terminated, but I can't get any videos from the channel to index. Whenever YouTube or Google decides that it's spam and they de-index everything, but they don't terminate the channel. I've got several channels that I actually was using as with LiveRank Sniper as part of a poking. Like, so for example, I had several RVR Pro channels that I had ran some campaigns with. In fact, some of them were the channels that I used in the case studies when we did the webinar with Bill Cousins. And so I hadn't used those channels since we did the case study, and they're all in Browsio. So I just opened up those channels and said, okay, here, I'm going to use this for LiveRank Sniper to poke a bunch of keywords, that kind of stuff. I was doing a whole lot of poking a couple of weeks ago. And so I was like literally testing hundreds of keywords. So I needed a bunch of different YouTube channels. So I just grabbed some of those from RVR Pro. And what happened was when I would run LiveRank Sniper to go search Google to check the results of the scheduled live events to see if they ranked on page 1 or page 2, that's how you know which keywords are easy to rank for. I kept getting back blank text files with no ranking videos whatsoever, which is odd, especially for dozens and dozens of keywords. You should get some results. And I kept getting these blank text results back, files back, which means it didn't find any results. So I went and literally tested manually by uploading a video, copying the URL once it was uploaded, make sure it was public. I'd go over to Webmaster Tools or Submit URL tool in Search Console and submit it, which usually will index that link within a matter of seconds, if not minutes, right? Or minutes, if not seconds. It typically indexes very, very quickly. And I've been unable to get some of those channels to index anything. So keep that in mind, just so you know. I consider that a churn and burn strategy. It's great for wowing people. It's great for short-term lead gen projects. There might be some channels that have longevity, but there's some sort of it's got to be some sort of percentage of them that get basically that end up with the same trouble that I had. And so as long as you understand that, that's fine. But just don't use it on a money site, because if it ends up rendering the channel non-indexable, if that's a word, then you've just lost your money channel, if that makes sense. Okay. So use another channel. And guys, you don't need like syndication networks and all that for this. That's what was beautiful about it. You could just go buy brand new YouTube accounts, you know, phone verified, I recommend, and then just set it up with that and just blast this stuff out there. Because if there's a chance that you're going to lose it anyways, what difference does it make? Just go out and use new channels. Don't spend a lot of time setting up syndication networks for all that stuff. Once you've identified keywords that rank well, you can always go back and do it through your money site channel, through syndication networks, which will give you the longevity too. Okay. Ivan's up. What's up, Ivan? He says, hi, guys. There are a lot of free traffic exchange sites on the web. Questions, do you think they are beneficial? Should we use them? I don't know. I've not tested them, Ivan. If we do, should we use our money site links for tier 1 properties? I would absolutely recommend, if you're going to test it, that you would do it to tier 1 properties. And if there's any way that you can direct the traffic to click a link once they land on the target URL, so like you can give them a second target URL, then you could always have them click through from the tier 1 property to your money site, which is a super good signal for SEO, right? Put analytics on your site and then send referral traffic through your social media properties. And a lot of those social media sites actually report to Google anyway, so Google is aware of the traffic. But if you have analytics on your site, if you run it through tier 1 properties first, that's great because it's referral traffic from social sites or Web 2 properties. It's great signal. But I would not recommend, without testing on some like demo sites or dummy sites, I would not send that kind of traffic direct to money site. Now, again, I don't have any experience with this, guys. I have not tested that, but that's why I'm not going to recommend to you that you run it to your money site without testing first.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like you need to think of what kind of traffic is being exchanged on these webs. It's usually like Papander, or not Papander, but toolbars kind of traffic and whatnot. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. If you filter that through Twitter, for example, that helps a lot, you know, or through a PBN or through whatever, right? That helps a lot. But directly, it's kind of hard.
Yep. You can spam the shit out of a press release too, by the way. That you can just throw shit traffic at a press release, and you can actually get press releases to rank higher and to also stay in the index for longer. But that way, I've tested that quite a bit. So Robin's up. What's up, Robin? She says, I have a group of networkers, MLMers. Whew, you're in a tough business, Robin. Who's approached me. Do you have any ideas on how to increase the visibility of their company approved website and get their links indexed? Their URLs are HTTPS and name.companyname.com with all links to all of the company sites through each person's unique URL name. Okay. The URLs can also go to other countries, name.company, name.country.anything. I've tried Twitter and the URLs don't get indexed. Check. I know a lot of those network marketing sites, guys, you need to check, because a lot of the times, because of the fact that all independent business owners, IBOs or whatever they call them in the specific MLM company, but that's, you know, typically what they're called, because they all have the same basic sites with just the only difference is the URL. A lot of the times those individual sites end up being no indexed as part of the code. It's in the header, because otherwise, or they're all canonicalized to the root domain, which means Google likely won't index the page. If it's got a no index header tag, Google likely won't index it. Or robots.txt, either one, right? Or if it's got a canonical tag, which points back to the root, which is the main the network marketing company domain, then Google likely won't index it. Or it'll be a fleeting index. In other words, it could index, but then fall out because, you know, every time Google does recrawls and caches again, sometimes they'll pick up the canonical tag, sometimes they won't. So you need to check the code, the source code, and take a look at that, because if that's your issue, there's probably nothing you can do about it. Marco, can you comment on that at all?
Yeah, that's,
I totally agree with you. Okay. You got to check the source code and make sure that the individual pages or websites or whatever it is, subdomains are being don't have the no index tag. And if it doesn't have the no index tag, you're still going to have a hard time indexing simply because of the market that you're in, the niche that you're in.
Yeah.
Now, I think Robin is in RYS Reloaded, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm sorry I haven't been in there as much as I should have because of my back. I will be, you know, after the holidays and the new year, I should be back and fully in there. But just go in there and tag me, because you should be able to do it with the way we do it in RYS Reloaded. You should be able to index. If they're at all indexable, then you should be able to do it with the way we index in RYS Reloaded. So catch me in there, tag me.
Yeah, and yeah, that makes sense. And I think that pretty much everyone that's working on an MLM, you know, here's the thing. They will give you this office or this asset that you can definitely leverage. But what I would recommend is that two main things. Number one is that you kind of branch off to an environment that you can control, right? To a blog that you can control, that you can actually push people into your downline, whatever, or your own office, etc. But it's an environment that you can control. It also happens a lot with people, you know, pinging me when it comes to Facebook ads for MLMs. And if you're doing any kind of paid advertising or SEO, you don't control the environment. So it's super hard to install a pixel. There's no way you can install a pixel or, you know, check conversions. So you're pretty much throwing money at it blindly, right? So I would suggest that you branch off a little bit. And this will have another effect, Robin, in fact, that, you know, you can control an environment, so you control the leads. Because the reality is that most people that visit your website, and if you're providing good quality content, they opt in to get more information about that business opportunity. Maybe, like I would say, 95% of those people will not become part of your team, right? And that's completely normal. But that doesn't mean that they're useless. You can use them for something else. So, for example, Mike Dillard made a lot of money selling services and stuff for MLM people. Like, he was part of an MLM. He was pushing people on his line, right, of work. But he was also leveraging the opportunity of building an asset with the money that came from the MLM. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be focusing a little bit on your own side of things while pushing people into the MLM or trying to, you know, share with them the business opportunity or the products, right? But you can also do your own thing a little bit and, you know, gather leads to sell them some other thing. So.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like what Hernan just said, I totally agree. Is I would recommend that you know, and you gotta be careful and find out what the rules and regulations are, the bylaws or whatever for the particular network marketing company, because sometimes they really frown upon having like your own blogs and things like that. But which I think is stupid, by the way. That's part of the reason why I've never been really happy with any network marketing company. But you know, if you have your own assets and your own blog, you can push traffic to that site, and you don't need to worry about Google and indexing that site. You know, it doesn't matter, right? That's the thing. If you control your own assets that you can use to generate traffic, you can push that traffic wherever you want. And in like what, to that actual MLM site, if you want to, that's fine. But also, like what Hernan said, is if you capture those leads from the sites that you manage, not the MLM site, but from your own assets, then even if they don't join, which the vast majority of them aren't going to join, you still have an asset, right? You have an email list now. You know that they're at least interested in that theme, right? That niche, that industry, that topic, whatever it is, that product, that business, whatever. You know that they've raised their hand because they've opted in and they've actually clicked through and all that stuff over to the site. So they're at least interested. Maybe they didn't like that particular offer, but who's to say they're not going to respond well to other offers? So you can start doing affiliate marketing for other products and services, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I always recommend trying to build an asset out of it instead of just running like straight traffic to that one page where most people aren't going to convert anyways, and you end up losing it. You lose all that traffic. All right, so this is Sergey. I'm sorry, was somebody else going to comment?
No, I was just saying that, yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. This is Sergey. He asked me in a PM in Facebook, and I told him to go post it over here because I thought everybody could benefit from this. He said, I've set up a lead gen tree service website as my testing ground for more aggressive SEO. I'm receiving calls already. Semantic mastery stuff freaking works. I'm going to +1 that. He says, how do you find contractors to pass the leads to? And what percentage or fee do you charge? Okay, so Sergey, I've actually covered this. I don't know if you're still in the mastermind. I believe you are. You should have access to all the master class training, the archives from that. We don't do the master class anymore, but you should have access to all that. And there's been like specifically prospecting funnels for service providers for lead gen stuff that I've set up. And it's very similar to like what I'm doing for prospecting for agency clients right now, right? But it's basically what I've done. Now there's a couple ways. You can do the shotgun approach, which is in that particular city, you just scrape all the leads, get all the contact leads for all the tree service contractors in that particular city, and just do a mass email blast to all of them. Make sure that like literally it's carbon copied, the CC'd, right? So that they see that you're emailing everybody, and put a basic pitch in the email that sends them over to a landing page where you can have a video explaining, and you can show results. You can show that you're ranking. You can show screenshots of call records, things like that, so that you can prove that you actually have these leads currently right now, and push them over there and put an application. I like to put a Google form application where I'm not asking them anything sensitive, but I make them jump through a hoop to qualify themselves as a potential service provider that I'd want to work with. The people, because I can tell you right now, especially in the tree service industry, about 85 or 90% of them aren't even going to fill out the form because they're not very sophisticated. And some of them are going to fill it out and they're going to say something rude or crude in it, or they're going to email you back and they're going to cuss you out and stuff like that. That's just the nature of that industry, guys. But there will be probably a few that will raise their hand, or that will actually complete the process. Or sometimes, and this is funny, but a lot of times I've set up these funnels for service providers, essentially just to prospect service providers for a lead gen asset that's already producing leads, right? And I'll send people through that process, but instead of them filling out the actual Google form and in me contacting them, they end up looking at the page and then just contacting me back via the email that I sent them and starting a conversation that way, or they'll call sometimes. So those are the ones that you want, because those are the people that have, like, even though they didn't go through the specific process you set up, they're anxious, they're hungry, they want those leads. And then obviously for tree service stuff, guys, I always recommend that you only work with clients that or service providers that have insurance. Make sure they've got business licenses, stuff like that, because even though you're just providing the leads, I don't want any liability ever coming back to me for that kind of stuff. So just make sure you've covered your ass. Try to make, obviously don't sell leads to a tree service contractor that has like 1-star reviews and shit like that. Don't do that, right? It's not about the, it is about the money, but you also got to make sure that the leads that you're sending to the contractors are going to be serviced properly, because it's your asset that's going to be damaged if they don't perform well. All right. So as far as that, the other process that you could go through as opposed to the shotgun approach would be the rifle approach. And once again, Sergey, I know you have access to the video email prospecting training. And again, that's more of a laser approach. It's a lot more time consuming, but it's very, very effective. And that way you can actually hand select contractors. Like, for example, you could go find the tree service contractors, just, do a little bit of research and find the ones that have the best reviews and hand select them and reach out to them with a very targeted, specific video email message, telling them that you chose them because of how, how good of the review, like they got a really good reputation, and you've got these leads and you want somebody that has a good reputation. Now you're massaging their ego. It works really, really well. Okay. But also don't forget, even with the laser approach, you don't want to not let them know that you're also providing this offer to other contractors. In fact, you can even list, especially with the laser approach, the rifle approach, you can actually list the other contractors that you've hand selected in the email. Reply quickly though, because I've also contacted, and then just bullet point it right out. Like, Joe's tree service and Bob's tree service and, blah, 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 right on down the list, because that creates a sense of urgency. And I found contractors really respond well to that sense of urgency. Now, sometimes they're just going to flat out cuss you out, but get over it. So as far as what percentage or fee do you charge, it depends on the relationship. It also depends on how I'm generating the leads. It depends on the area too, right? It depends on the level of competition. So it really does depend, Sergey. Typically, if I'm doing AdWords for tree service and tree removal jobs, then I'll charge on a flat fee per lead, per qualified lead, which would be, it ranges between, say, $50 to $75 per lead. If I'm doing SEO, if my leads are coming in through SEO as opposed to AdWords, where I'm not paying per click, then I will often have a lower price, a lower cost per lead price. But if I'm doing AdWords, I specifically just tell the contractors, look, sometimes it costs me $30 to generate, $30, $35, $40 to generate this lead. So I've got to charge you $75 per lead, period. And I'm just transparent about it with them. I tell them flat out, if it's SEO, then sometimes I might charge $40 per lead or $50 per lead. But then generally what I like to do is, especially with tree services, now this isn't always possible, but once you've developed a relationship with a service provider and a track record, and he's proven to, perform well, to be able to close a lot of jobs, he pays you when he's supposed to, and all that kind of stuff, then you can always negotiate a revenue share. And that's my preferred method, especially in the tree service industry, because I get 10% of any jobs that close. The contractors love that because they don't pay for leads that don't turn into revenue. They only pay for leads that generate revenue. But you have to have a trusting relationship with them. They have to be good closers, right? But then you get, like, especially with tree services, 10%, and it's pretty much all labor. There's very rarely ever any material costs in the job. So like we had, I'm not kidding. Our average job for my biggest contractor, my best tree service contractor with the revenue share model, the average job is about $1,800. So I get $180 on average per call. But there are times we had a lot clearing job that came through. It was a $47,000 job. I'm not kidding. So I got $4,700 for one damn phone call. That was a damn good week. So just so you know, like, that's a great model, but you have to have developed a relationship with the contractor first, a trusting relationship. Anybody have any comments on that before I move on?
That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, when you have that relation, that's where the actual money is.
Yep.
Not selling the leads, like the actual, I'll pay you when somebody closes, because these guys, depending on the niche, right? But that's why it's usually better to go for high ticket niches, right?
Yep.
But yeah, it takes time. You can start with the rank and rent model, then move into the lead selling model, and then finally you want to get to that model when you're being paid for a new contract development.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. And to start with, yeah, rank and rent is absolutely the easiest way, guys. You're going to leave a lot of money on the table that way, though. But that's the easiest way and quickest way to get going and to start generating revenue is just rank and rent, because it's simple. All you got to do is charge a flat fee. I've still got a lot of lead gen sites out there that are on the rank and rent method, and that's fine. It's simple to manage that way. Doing PPL, pay per lead, or revenue share, you have to have a lot more tracking in place, more infrastructure, basically. But it's worth it because you make so much more money. All right, Keith's up. Some super spun articles. Keith, I was promoting your stuff, I think it was last week, just so you know. He says, hey guys, question on IFTTT networks. Was on your service-based sales page and saw a comment from O about custom sidebars to create silos, IFTTT network. Can you explain what he meant by this? No, because I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the comment, number one, and I'm not sure exactly what he meant, other than I think maybe possibly what he was talking about is our builders in the sidebars of, like, the blogs and everywhere, every one of the sites with the properties, platforms, whatever, within the syndication networks that allow us to add our other profile links. We do that. And so that ends up being like like, for example, with WordPress.com or with Tumblr or Blogger, we'll add in the sidebar all the links to all of the other properties in the network. And that's just to create like a branded silo, I guess, if that's what he's talking about. But again, I don't know, because I'm not Bo. So I don't know exactly what he meant by that. Does anybody else have any maybe ideas on that?
Let me check. Chris, I don't know, buddy. You'll need to ask him.
Yeah, just post in the group, Keith, in our Facebook group, the SEO tutorials Facebook group, and tag Bo on it if you have a question specifically. I know he'll answer it because he also moderates that group for us anyways. Okay. Next question from Keith. Another question, this time on RSS feeds. Is there any benefit, and we're almost out of time, guys. Is there any benefit in running the RSS master feed through FeedBurner before adding it to IFTTT recipes to add content to network sites? Yeah, I mean, there is. It's up there. There's some slight benefit because you siphon a little bit of authority from the FeedBurner domain, which is basically a Google domain. So there is some benefit. I got to be honest, I don't do it unless I'm like, you know, I typically don't do a lot of those like additional little steps that have tiny fraction of a benefit. But you know, if you've got the time, sure, why not? It wouldn't hurt it. You'd have two separate feeds at that point, right? You got your RSS master feed, and then you have a feed burner feed, so you could actually use it in different locations. You could submit both feeds to different aggregators, RSS directories, and that kind of stuff. I mean, it's not going to hurt. That's my point. Okay. All right, cool. We're almost done. Edward, do you guys like Money Robot, or do you like SEO Jet? Edward, I don't run any of the tools. I can't answer that. You'd have to talk to Dedia, our link building manager. He could answer any question about any spam tool and out there right now. And he's an expert in all of them, and he'll tell you the best ones to use. Anybody got a comment on that before I move on? We're almost done too.
Same. Yep.
Okay. Good. We should be able to finish these questions. Where do I go in syndication training to see how to connect a Web 2 to the client's website through RSS? Wow, Edward, come on, buddy. I know you, Edward. You are like a sponge, man. You already know this. Unless I'm misunderstanding your question, you just create an applet with an RSS as the trigger. So if this RSS, then that, select the Web 2, and that's it. Then set up the applet. Am I reading this? Am I misinterpreting the question, guys?
How to connect a Web 2 to the client's website through the RSS. Maybe it's outside of the, maybe it's not supported by IFTTT. Is that what you're saying, Ed?
Oh, if that's the case, then yeah, and maybe that's it, Ed. And again, I'm not picking on you, buddy. You know, you're cool. So, but if it's a Web 2 that IFTTT can connect to as a service, then you just use an applet. Very, very simple. It's all that's covered, right? If it's a Web 2 that does not connect to IFTTT, then you're going to have to look for another service that would make, like, there are some plugins out there that will, like Snap, social network auto poster plugin that may connect to the Web 2 specifically.
Zapier too.
Yeah.
Deliver. Yeah,
Deliver It, DLVR.IT is another one. Zapier, obviously, you could use that if it connects. You're going to have to find another way to do it if it's not IFTTT specific. Find another way to do it. And sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you can't automate it. Okay. All right. Next question from Ed. I have several clients that want to set up another location. I can just set up a box at the post office and use street address and not the box. Yes. You have to fill out an additional form, Ed. Stand by 1 minute. Let me see. Right here. This is it. This PDF form, it's a form, you can get it at the post office or you can download it and then print it out. All you got to do is fill this out. It doesn't cost anything else, guys. It's just one additional form. You just put the post office street address here, the box number that they assign you when you go pick up your post office box, the city, state, zip. And this is exactly how you have to write it. You use the street name and then you use the number sign. They're very particular about that, by the way. You use the pound sign, the hashtag symbol, and then the number of the box. That's how you write it out when you fill out this form. And this all you got to do is sign this form. Okay, so I'm going to grab this link and drop it on the event page. So this is the street address option. I just did, Paul. Okay, last question, I believe, is from Donald. He says, and what's up, Don? He's been following the oh shit, I forgot to mention that again. I always forget the Mindset Mastery series. I just posted another video yesterday for the Mindset Mastery series after 2 weeks of not doing videos because of my traveling, Vegas and all that shit. Also, I've been focusing on building the my email sequence, my autoresponder sequence for, you know, if you go to bradleybenner.com, guys, you can sign up for my Mindset Mastery series emails, my email series. And what I'm trying to do is build the habit right now. For years, I've been meaning to improve my writing skills because writing is such a shitty job. Like it sucks. Like it's not that I'm bad at it, but it takes me forever to do it. And it's very painful. It's a very tedious process. And so the only way to ever get better at stuff like that is just do more of it, guys. It's just like anything else. It's the only way to get better at it. And so for years, I've been putting it off. I've created a goal many, many times to get better at writing, and I've never followed through because I never built a habit out of it. So I started about 3 weeks ago with this Mindset Mastery series. And again, you can subscribe to the emails. Go to bradleybenner.com and there'll be a pop-up. You subscribe. If you don't like it, just unsubscribe. Because, but what I've been doing every single day is part of my daily routine now with the meditation and with my daily goal setting and planning. And now I'm also writing an email every morning. It's not every morning, but I try to get Monday through Friday as often as possible. And my goal is to write a minimum of 200 words per day. And what happens is by the time I get to 200 words, it's not enough to convey the thought that I'm trying to get across. So my emails are on average about 600 to 800 words. But it's been great because I've done it. I think I've got 12 emails in there over the last 3 weeks. So I've only missed a few days. And I'm starting to develop the habit, which is going to make it easier for me to write in all areas of my business, in my life. Right. And so again, I would recommend you go check that out. I know Don's been following it. So thanks, Don. But just keep in mind, guys, I do use colorful language, some strong language in those emails at times. If you're easily offended, just don't subscribe or unsubscribe if it offends you. But it's really about kicking your ass and making you like get off your ass and go do something, go be productive, make life happen, that kind of stuff. And so I respond well to that kind of talk. So that's the way I talk in those emails. All right. So anyways, I'm going to answer this question, Don, and we're going to wrap it up. We're a little bit over. He says, I think you were using with Sean Donahoe's commission commando. I think he's talking about backlink commando. Does it still work today? Plus, if you tried RSS Mix It plugin to see how it works.
Probably, yeah. We were using backlink commando. It's not being supported anymore. Yeah. So he also had commission commando for some other stuff, but yeah, backlink commando is not being supported anymore.
Yeah, I've never used commission commando. Backlink commando was a way to extract the Web 2 URLs, post URLs from the syndication network, and automatically send them to an indexer, which was great. But they stopped supporting it about probably a year and a half ago now, maybe 2 years ago even. And so we never found another solution that was able to do that. We've talked about developing our own, but we've never done it, and it's not really a really top priority. It may be something that SerpSpace, I know that's on the to-do list in SerpSpace, because with our network monitoring over there at SerpSpace, it would make it super simple, and we have an indexer service and everything already built into SerpSpace. So it's just a matter of creating the developing it to pull and extract the URLs. It's something that's on the to-do list. So I imagine it will be done within the next few months, but I just can't give you a date when. All right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, yeah, that's, I don't know how big on how high on the priority list that is.
Yeah. Last thing, guys, by the way, Don, I did cover an alternative way to do that, to extract the Web 2 post URLs automatically and have them posted to a drive file, a spreadsheet, and then you could actually just send the spreadsheet. You could build links to the spreadsheet or send it to an indexer or whatever, and that will help the Web 2 post URLs to get indexed. And that was all covered in an update webinar in IFTTT, or excuse me, Syndication Academy. So just go back and look through the updates or the webinar replays archives, and you should be able to see where I mention an indexing method for Web 2 posts, and that will show you how to set that up. Have I tried the RSS Mix It plugin? No, not that I'm aware of. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thanks for being here and spending your Thanksgiving Eve with us. So
yes, happy Thanksgiving, guys.
All right.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye, everyone.
Bye.